Hey there YouTube, welcome to JT Picks, and today I'm going to be picking two albums to review at once. It's another double review. Now, here's the thing. Most of the times when I do a double review, I just look at one album by itself and then I do a separate segment where I look at a second album. But this is going to be a rare exception. I'm going to be looking at two albums literally at the same time, talking about them side by side. There's a reason for that. Mainly, it's because these albums are the opposite types of projects. They give different vibes. But to me, they're both the same level of quality.
Same, but different, but still same.
Maybe if I were to show you the specific nitty-gritty of what score goes where, maybe they'll drift apart by maybe 0.3 points or something like that. I think one has 7.4, one has 7.7. But at the end of the day, I'd just give both of these albums a straight up 7.5 out of 10. So I think the first thing I need to address when talking about both of these albums, Anike's self-titled album and Hulvey's Cry, is that one is extremely enjoyable, which is Anike's self-titled project. It's something I want to return to a lot because there are a lot of good, enjoyable songs on there. There's All Around, there's Have Fun, there's, dare I say it, Yahweh, which is a Jersey Club song, and I'm kind of getting sick of Jersey Club songs. There's Send That, there's Ese Baba. There's lots of really enjoyable tracks on it. The thing is, it's not smart at all. And by that, I mean it's not trying to make you think deeper or ponder anything too great, except for the first track, which does kind of present the gospel out in, I guess, a sort of way, which, by the way, Zonti, take a note. This is how you do a prayer in a song. In the first song, Make Me New, on Anike's album, we had the feature, Jacqueline Carr, lay down some vocals, but also she prayed in the song. And her prayer was no longer than 1 minute. Zonti, take note. If you don't know, there was a track by Zonti, I forgot what it's called, I think Your Presence in This Place. It was an outro track with 4 minutes of Zonti singing and a nearly 10-minute prayer speaking session. To this day, that frustrates me because that song and the dad outro before lowered the score of that project so much more than it should have been. That should have been a project that I would be like, yes, I love it. That's like a 7 out of 10 project, an 8 out of 10 project. But those two tracks lowered the overall score significantly. And this album is how you do a prayer in a song. Less than 1 minute. I don't mind listening to it because Jacqueline is literally singing in the background of the prayer. Good, good, good. Now, back to it. Anike was extremely enjoyable. I have multiple songs that I like because Anike's project really focuses on the hip-hop element of Anike, but it also focuses on the R&B element of Anike. Think hip-hop, you got Send That to really satisfy that hard hip-hop craving. Again and again to satisfy the melodic hip-hop craving. Then on the R&B side, you have things like All Around, especially with that little, like, I call it sparkle, that's a really nice sparkle that tells me and screams R&B. But it's not just All Around, it's also songs like Heavenly with Hulvey. Another song that uses that slow R&B tinge to perfection. I just love it so much. Then we have things like Afropop on Ese Baba, and look, I don't like Afropop as much. I think it's a sound that in a few songs works well, but when you start taking Afropop and putting it everywhere, I'm not gonna like it because to me, it's a sound that gets really old really fast. And yet, Ese Baba was really good. The hook was very catchy, the Ese Baba, it's very catchy, and I like that about that. You have those, and then you have the one thing that honestly really took this project down, and that is the fact that it was 18 songs. Come on, guys. 18 songs is a great length for a project, for a deluxe project. This is not a deluxe. This is the basic. I'm not asking for a 10-track album because that's too short. An 18-track album is too long unless every single song is absolutely necessary and every single song is a banger. You'll notice this when I'm reviewing music, especially if you see my shorts where I give the specific scoring. On certain projects, maybe an 18-song project, a 19-song project, or something like that, if every single track can get 8 or above, that means you're doing something right and every track is necessary. Here, you had a few tracks that at the end weren't. These tracks for me are In the Light, Pray For Me, Show Me Love, Desires, Top Tier, and Gravity. None of these songs are bad, not one. I think when I was scoring this album, the lowest that a single song on this project got was a 5.5.
So on the uploaded version of the Anike album scoring sheet, some of the scores might not match what I'm saying in the video, and that's because in between the making of that video and the uploading of that score sheet, some of the scores changed. For example, Heavenly has a 7.5 on the uploaded score, but I kind of gave it an 8 now. With You has the lowest on the score sheet, which is a 6, although in this video I say it's a 5.5. There are a few changes like that, and the score went from a 7.3 to a 7.4, so you know now. Yay.
And that was only one song. The rest of the songs got a 6 or higher. And I would say most got like an 8. But the problem is that a lot of these songs, they feel the same at the end of the day. With You kind of sounds like Desires and Show Me Love. And those songs kind of just blend in together and I forget them after the first listen. I don't want to hear them again. Another letdown, I think the track I liked least was Gravity, and for me that's because as an exit track, it doesn't work as an outro and it doesn't work as a credit song. What do I mean by that? When you have an album, your outro songs have to hit hard because this is the end of an album for two reasons. Either this is the end and you're just ending it abruptly like a movie without credits, or it's a credit song. If it's a credit song, like in a movie when the credits are rolling, it's gotta be fun. An example of this is Andy Mineo deciding to have Coming In Hot and Neverland 2. Cross My Heart is a perfect exit song. But Coming In Hot makes sense at the end of the day as an credit song. It's like the album just ended on a high note, but we're gonna now enjoy it. You can listen to this song and still take in, at the end of the day, this beautiful album that just passed. This song, what's it called? I have the track list down here. Gravity, to me, did neither of those things. It didn't fulfill being an exit song, and it didn't fulfill being a credit song either. It did neither. Granted, no song on this project is really that bad. None. There was no moments where I was like, can we just like move because I'm bored or something like that, which is, you know, something you definitely don't want to have a listener feel when listening to your project. So that was good. I think though, even in the songs that I didn't love in the project, like let's say Move, In the Light, Pray For Me, etc., they're not bad. I mean, I didn't add those specific songs to my library, but I'm going to be buying the CD and I'm not going to be going out of my way to skip these songs when they're playing. We'll put it this way, if I can buy a CD and listen to a project whole, you did a good job. I think this is a good album. I just don't know if it's like Hulvey's album, which has a thought-provoking narrative. Speaking of Hulvey's project, this is a very different story because on Anike's album, you have these highs and you have a lot of them, and it's just a fun album. At sometimes it almost feels like mindless fun, even though I know that's not Anike's point with that project. It's still glorify God, but at sometimes it just sounds like it's upbeat worship songs. We're not trying to do anything super special with it. Here it's like we're trying to have this album split up into 3 parts, We are attaching it to the narrative of the first one by having the same guy who was on the interludes in Christopher on this. I think it's Big Breeze, I'm not sure. Then we're trying to interweave this, like, I think this album did so much that it ended up falling flat in its narrative. I feel like I'm gonna get so much hate from the community for this, but the interludes and intros and the way that it was split up into 3 parts weren't it. It kind of collapsed underneath its own weight. For example, when ranking the 3 intros, interludes, and outros, I was like, what should I give these? Because yes, they're IIOs, but it's also like a half attempt at a song. You have Hulvey rapping on, I'm pretty sure he raps on all 3 of those parts, Communion, Reflection, and Yearning, and they don't really go anywhere. It's like they're trying to go somewhere, but then the fact that they're so disconnected from their parts, for example, Reflection, which honestly was the best out of all 3. It had an amazing beat. Hulvey's rapping, his flow on that one was the chef's kiss. If we had a complete song of that interlude, I would die a happy man. But here's the thing. We ended up cutting that song short and then go straight into True. And it's like, what does that have to do with True? Because in the Reflection interlude, Hulvey's like talking about how God is with you, and then it goes straight into True, which, okay, yes, that's true. But musically, that doesn't make sense. What does this track really have to do with True? True is like a love song to God, and it can be a love song to your significant other too. So what does that have to do with this? It frustrates me because we have the makings of a really good narrative here, but it kind of just falls flat. And I'm just gonna say it already. Christopher's a better album. It's tighter, it's shorter, it's a better album. It's a better album, for sure. Another thing that hurts this project is the fact that there were so many singles. We have Alter, All For You, True, Love Like That, and Have Me. And these have all been released. That's 5 songs that have already been released. That's 17 tracks minus 5, which is 12. 12 is alright, but then you have 3 songs that are intros, interludes, and outros, so they're not complete songs, so then that's another minus 3 from that 12. That only leaves you 9 complete brand new songs. The best ones that I personally found were World Hunger and Poor Party. And even those, while being great, are missing those things that make them amazing. Like True, like All For You, like Alter. Those are amazing, perfect songs. Alter is perfect. True, I gave it a 9.5. All For You, I think, is a 10 or 9.5. I forgot. But regardless, those are really great songs, amazing songs. World Hunger and Poor Party miss something. For example, I like how World Hunger has that beat switch and it gets really good in the second half, but the first half is not that good. If the song was the first half alone, I'd probably give it like a 6.5, or maybe, if I'm being generous, a 7. Because of that beat switch in the second part and how vibey it is, it goes up to 8. Poor Party is also an 8, and that's mainly because I like how Hulvey sings with the sample. I think it's actually really good and it makes it very catchy. And you know me, I like catchy. Like, whenever I think of the song Poor Party, I think of Hulvey sing along, money can't get you my love. That's good. I like that. I think the beat's decent too. Now, as for the other of those 10 songs, I think each of them miss something, and they miss them majorly. Roses has a very nice intention behind it, but I'm sorry, it's boring. It's a boring song. I'm sorry to say that. The vocals are nice, and if I'm in a really worshiping mood, yes, I'll put that song on, but I'm in a worshipy mood not as often as I should be. And by worshipy, I mean like putting on worship tunes and almost like I'm in church raising my hands. I'm not doing that all the time. So, yeah. Roses is not getting played very often. Battle Cry. The song is here and gone the next second. It's not a bad song by any stretch of the imagination. None of these songs are. There's not one song on this project that I would say is bad. Just, I kind of forget what this song even sounds like right now. I mean, I know what it sounds like. It's more upbeat. But there's nothing super memorable about it. There's not one bar that I'm going, oh, that was super clever. Oh, that was a great beat switch. I can't think of anything like that. I like Miracles. Now, I'll be honest. The reason for that is because I could hear it. It's got a chord progression that is used very often. Dun, 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 dun. That is most famously used in Bruce Hornsby's The Way It Goes. If you don't know what that is, that's Tupac's Changes. And 500 million other songs. So, yeah, I guess that's why Miracles is good. I think the hook of that song's good too. Let's move on though. Out of those 10 tracks, it would probably go World Hunger, Poor Poverty, and Miracles. Now, y'all isn't hyping Anxiety up too much because, I'm sorry, that's not a banger. I don't like it. In fact, out of the 3 parts, Communion, Reflection, and Yearning, I like Reflection the least because honestly that has my least favorite songs in it. Like, you thought I was trashing Roses and Battle Cry, I wasn't. I was just saying they're missing things. Reflection though, once again, not the worst song ever. You got Hulvey's vocals, you got him rapping, the beat's decent, but I don't know, something about it just... It's not a song I'm gonna revisit often. Not because it's bad, just because it's missing that thing. Okay, so I literally just got this Discord message. Somebody told me about Hulvey's bonus track. If you don't know, Hulvey 2 days ago did this thing where if you bought the digital album of Cry, you got a bonus track entitled I Cry. I asked in the Discord, the Hulvey fan chat, what the song sounded like, and somebody actually messaged me. They said, you know how in the interludes and whatnot and the intros would say, when I say your name, and then it would cut off? One of the biggest criticisms that I am personally feeling in this album is, first of all, the inconsistency with storytelling, right? How the album's presenting itself as like this very narratively tight project, but yet there's things like how the second interlude and the outro each contain the when I say your name, but the first one, Communion, doesn't. I feel like that's a majorly missed opportunity. But also how it feels like it never goes to fruition because we don't ever get a conclusion to when I say your name, when I say your name, what? What, Hulvey? Tell us. It feels like you're trying to say something here, but you just never say it. Well, apparently that bonus track finishes it. That's the entire song for it. It's When I Say Your Name, I Cry, which I guess is something we could have figured out because, I mean, that's the natural way to finish that phrase, when I say your name, I don't know how to feel about this now that I actually know that, because on the one hand, it's nice. It gives us a way that the album feels complete, and if that was actually released with the whole thing, I think my score, especially my views on the narrative, would have been much higher and much more gracious because it would have felt like a complete narrative and like it wasn't incomplete. But at the same time, there's this part of me that feels like you just gave up a significant chunk of your storytelling for a bonus track to try and sell digital copies. If this track was unimportant or something, I guess I would understand that, but this track kind of is important to the album's narrative. So Yeah, you guys tell me what you think about that. You know how Kendrick Lamar in the To Pimp a Butterfly album, what's considered mainstream hip-hop's greatest album of all time, although I think Good Kid Mad City's better. But you know how in that album, he's got a little poem that slowly completes itself as the track list goes on? It's like if Kendrick put that poem and it was completing itself, but he never finished it like it did in Mortal Man. That's what Hulvey did here. He gave us something, but he never completed it. When I say your name, I what? We shouldn't have to figure it out. You should have told us because that's a part of the story. The same can go for Top Spinnin'. I guess the hook is nice, the beat is chill, but it doesn't have that thing. It feels like it can go on too long. Letter to the Game just feels like a SoundCloud rapper song. It feels like a Juice WRLD song mixed with a Polo G song. Like, smashed together. I don't know how else to put it. The last one from this part is Heaven's Door, and that's the best out of this part. I mean, aside from True, but I honestly don't imagine True to be a part of it because True just feels too good to be associated with these songs. But Heaven's Door is here, and here's the thing. I guess Hulvey's lyrics are good. I love the intention behind them, especially this song. But it's so boring. Now, Tori Deshawn's hook, the vocals are insane, and that's gonna bring me back to that song more than the other ones. Way more than the other ones. I know what you're thinking. I have talked about the album so harshly, and I guess that's because of expectations. I have myself to blame for this. Christopher was such a good project, such a solid project, that I put those expectations on this album. And then when I saw that the tracklist contained 5 singles that I absolutely loved, like Have Me was probably my least favorite of all those singles, but Have Me's not a bad song. So we'll say 4 out of 5 that were absolutely amazing singles. Like seriously, like Love Like That is a 9 out of 10 song. All For You is a 9.5 to a 10. I don't know, I'm still deciding. True, 9 to 10. Have Me, 7.5 to 8, and Alter is just a straight up 10. Those are the singles, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this album's going to be a 10 out of 10 banger, just straight like Hulvey's best work. And then it wasn't. So I immediately was like, now you may be thinking, JT, you're being so negative about this album. Well, my score for it, a 7.5, and a specific score of a 7.7, which is 0.3 higher than Anike's project, says otherwise. And I think that's because it's like almost trying to compare a Marvel movie with an A24 movie. A24 movies might not be your thing. They might not even be necessarily better feeling than those Marvel movies, but at the end of the day, you gotta argue that an A24 movie is technically better than a Marvel film, even though I'll probably go with a Marvel film more often. That's the same thing with this album. I'll probably go with Anike's more often, but the technically better album is Cry by Hulvey. I want to know your guys' thoughts on both of these projects, how much you would disagree with me, because I already know a lot of you guys are going to disagree with me on this. Let me know what you think of it. Be specific too. Like, tell me what was wrong with my opinion. I want to know. I actually do want to know. Like, this is no shade. I'm curious. Like, what about this project? If you think it's better than Christopher, if you think it's the AOTY, why is it? Like, tell me. I want to know. Please comment, share, like, subscribe if you haven't. And remember 2 things. I know that Jesus is king and that JT, moi, knows best. Thank you guys for watching.